Well, first and foremost, let's talk about the observation, your observations
I want to
with the
start
SONA.
with
Go
what's
ahead, Attorney.
not said, because the whole day people have been talking about, of course, the SONA, which is more about the speech. But I want to talk about the things that were not said, but were still visible to all of us. So starting with the president
Exciting, oh.
walking alone up to the podium, because historically, diba, it's tradition that the president is greeted
from the holding room.
dun sa entrance pa lang, sinusundo na siya ng Speaker of the House and Senate President. And then they walk all the way to the holding room, they talk, and then from there, pupunta sa podium. But why was it different this year?
What happened?
I don't know. It's like a lonely walk coming from the south going to the main entrance hall. So it's not usually that way.
Yung you mean yung pathway?
Yeah,
Iba rin.
he went down, up, and then went to the, di ba yung the main hall, the center of the House of Representatives, doon siya pumasok.
So parang
I don't know if that is ritual.
Intention to avoid the holding room?
No, because you wouldn't want your president to be walking alone.
Okay.
Usually, the take-off shot is upon entry. The SecGen will call, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, he enters.
Yes.
But this one, there was a long shot of him walking by himself.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what they are trying to show, or it's a lonely walk. Kinda a lot of spent time not being with the people, not being with
But maybe directing-wise, are they trying to show that he's an independent person?
I doubt very much.
Is he trying to project something? With
Well,
what
yes,
happened?
they were trying to project definitely something, but that was not traditional walk of presidents going to deliver a State of the Nation address. Usually, it's from the entry that the shot is taken, and then he enters as his name is being called.
Yeah. And well, earlier when I was doing the SONA coverage with former presidential spokesperson Edwin Lacerda, he went into the history of the president, customarily, even in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and the United States, they are invited by the House. And in the past, meron pang tradition sa Great Britain where the king knocks on the door, sasarahan pa siya ng pinto, tapos kailangan siyang pagbuksan para i-welcome. So, sabi niya, doon nang start din yung tradition natin sa Pilipinas na susunduin ng members of Congress, which is the Senate President and the House Speaker, from the entrance of Batasang Pambansa all the way inside to the Batasang Pambansa. So, do you think...
the two wait on the rostrum. And it's the contingent,
yes,
the House and the Senate.
Picks him up. So, why? But would you see any
departure from tradition?
Yes, any effort?
Probably they just wanted him to walk, take a long shot by himself.
Okay.
I don't see any, meaning to that.
Well, the other thing that I think was also unusual as of today was Senate President Cheese Escudero spotted going to the House this morning before the SONA to discuss the budget or to meet with Speaker Martin Romualdez. But they said this breaks from tradition. The Senate President going to the
that
Speaker.
one breaks tradition.
Yeah.
And it's an early powwow, and there is no State of the Nation address still.
Yes.
So I guess it's informal meeting, trying to get sense of how they will execute the State of the Nation. But that is not usually done.
Okay.
And of course, this is the SONA of the president. Let's talk about, you think, the major points that you think was glaring. Kasi sinimulan niya yung SONA niya, congratulating all the winners of the midterm elections. And he said na parang, parang tapusin na natin tong ating differences. And let's move forward. What do you think? Is that a good opening line for a SONA?
But he also mentioned in relation to the election that he learned.
Yes.
Marami akong natutunan sa election na to.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
I think that's a good take-off point for the fourth State of the Nation address, because it's a realization that you have an administration that is not popular to the people. The fact that the Alianza didn't get much of their candidates in the winning column is a reality that he has to contend with. And with that comes the realization that the agenda of the president may not be an agenda that will be defined by him solely, but it will be an agenda defined by the rainbow coalition that is present in the Senate.
Yeah, but they will also have the absence of Vice President Sara Duterte.
Yes.
Normally,
and so,
the Vice President attends the State of the
That's
Nation
right.
address, but she decided not to be physically there.
And
but
her
from what I
allies in the Senate.
understand, that,
together with the sister and the three
Yes.
senators
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
so-
Duterte bloc.
Senator Aimee was
not
not
there.
present. Who
Present?
else was not present? I didn't
Bato de la
Padilla,
Rosa.
Go,
Yes.
Bato de la Rosa.
But earlier today, when there was a vote for the Speaker of the House, hindi nagboto for Speaker Martin sila.
Frasco,
Si Frasco,
Albi Benitez,
yes,
and
and
then
then
the Davao.
Paulo Duterte
Contingent.
and
Ungab.
Omar Duterte, Ungab. So, do you think that this signals also like yung hindi magiging possible yung sinasabi ni President Bongbong Marcos sa start niya na let's put this aside or ayusin na natin?
I doubt very much, especially when in the SONA there was no mention of the Supreme Court decision, of the impeachment,
That's true.
and of
the
the
ICC, yes. I think some people were curious whether that would be mentioned. That's one of the
Was that
major
deliberate?
events of
Those
this
were
year.
the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, there was no mention even tangentially or even metaphorically. There was none.
Yeah, or the Supreme Court's recent ruling
That's
on the
true.
impeachment.
So,
yeah.
Is that his way of, just showing that he's welcome? He's welcoming everyone right now.
Well, let me put it this way. His SONA is actually dedicated to domestic issues. Like majority of it is written in Tagalog.
That's
And
right.
he not being articulated in Tagalog was really an effort to listen to him, no?
He was struggling a
He
bit,
was struggling,
right?
yeah. So this is different from the first three. This was last really domestic agenda, what I plan to do. And then the accomplishment was actually embellished in the sense that there was no direct claim on what has been done, but what I intend to do.
What do you mean, like intentional? PhilHealth. Okay, so I found that interesting because PhilHealth was controversial, especially in the last year's events where there was an effort to transfer their funds.
When they transferred.
Yes, and then ngayon nagkaroon tuloy ng kaso sa Supreme Court. But he did mention a lot of new benefits.
And that's
Under PhilHealth.
the coverage
So,
is bigger.
Yes, there's for cancer, heart.
For heart,
Dialysis.
for dialysis. So the question there, Karen, is where are you going to get the budget for that?
But hindi pa ba provided yung benefits na yan
hindi
pagka-announce
pa.
niya today?
Hindi pa.
What do
Apparently,
you
they're
mean
still
hindi pa?
talking about it. I was guest in another, interview, and I had the benefit of PhilHealth spokesperson being there, and he was saying that these things are, yes, it's being talked about, but there is no actual rollout. So when you look at the SONA of the president, it seems like huge instructions, huge pot of instructions for all his agencies. This is what we're going to do. It's an announcement made publicly so that there is commitment, but not yet done in terms of agency moving implementation.
So yung mga additional coverage, it's not yet something
So
that's been accomplished.
The what he provided, the how is something that we will be looking like a month, 3 months from
And
today.
the when? What about the when?
And the when, because
Hindi
the
pa natin
timelines are
alam.
there, no?
And let's not forget po, zero state budget sa PhilHealth in 2025.
Yes. And zero billing ngayon in DOH hospital.
That's
So,
true.
ang nakakatakot dyan, kung hindi handa, the public may say, oy, libre na kami. Base ho saan? Nag-speech si Presidente. Can we avail of this? That is the problem. That's why it is very important that after this SONA, there is communication and all the agencies are informed, okay, this is henceforth, this is what we're going to do. Kasi parang apparently, it's a decision made and announced for purposes of getting the public, because the SONA, the fourth SONA, is really directed to middle class and those below the middle class.
I wonder the decision to hold it in Tagalog, to render the SONA in Tagalog, if it was planned from the start, because I noticed the ambassadors, the diplomatic corps, they didn't have translators.
Yes.
And that was something that was done in the past for former President Benigno Aquino III, because he would always deliver SONA in Tagalog. So merong naka-ready na pang-translate. Pero kanina walang translator. So, ano yun, does that mean that the diplomatic corps that attended had to sit and
I
just
guess so.
and hear
And
in
there
Tagalog?
was not much anything said about foreign policy.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Even Trump's visit.
Yes, the open
Chairman
market.
George was saying marami sa kanila from the business community
There
that
was
were
nothing
waiting.
about business.
Yeah,
I
that
think
they were waiting to hear about the tariff.
5 lines about business, that's it.
Yeah.
There's not. It's really, it's like I'm in year 1 of the administration, and this is what I plan to do. I guess it's when he says, you know, I've learned a lot from my 3 years, and ito yung gagawin ko, natutunan ko ito sa inyo. There was that statement. So my sense is it's his way of telling everyone, yeah, I know I messed up, but this is what we're going to do. So he's moving forward, not discussing all the problems that we have because of the 3 years, except at the end when he said, mahiya naman kayo.
Okay, and that's in relation to the flood control project. So I want to pick your brain on that, Malou, because when he mentioned the flood control projects, yung insertions na issue dyan with the 2025 GAA, which became the most controversial budget in Philippine history, it was Politico that first broke that news. They published it, and then later on, it was Billionario News Channel that first reported on it. But yung nasa likod niya were the 2 people that were key people to pass the 2025 budget, including the controversial blank spaces in the bicameral report. So you have Senate President Cheese Escudero in the back and Speaker Martin Romualdez. But when he said na mahiya kayo, it's kayo, hindi tayo. So is he distancing himself from the 2025 budget and the implementation of the flood control project?
That's one interpretation, that he's distancing himself. But how can you distance yourself when it is your budget, when you were the one who signed the release, right? And your department secretary is the one implementing it. So, yun nga yung kuwan, we did an initial dipstick of the SONA, and we were asking the question about, kayo ba'y natutuwa dun sa mahiya naman kayo? Ang sagot, dapat mahinaya naman tayo.
Saan niyo po ginawa yung dipstick test?
Ito lang, kaninang after the SONA, we wanted to get an immediate feedback, and we will continue that. But we asked them what stood out. What stood out for them.
So this is a survey that you conducted through Publicus.
What stood out for them is that statement. Which kami, nung nakikinig kami, parang, ang boring naman, walang punchline, walang pump up, walang ano. And then, lo and behold, because we got a copy from the speech, the prepared one, and there was nothing about mahiya naman kayo.
So that's something that was spontaneous.
Yes, and I think it was something that he really prepared, and he wanted to tell the people, yeah, I do understand what's happening. And for me, this is a big thing, because this is the first time that the president really articulated that there is corruption. That he's willing to check, to do an audit, to even publish, to even make transparent so that the public will know. Now, everyone now is saying, oh, baka naman mabudol kami.
In what sense?
Baka hindi matuloy ang audit mo. Remember, the budget will be submitted by August, end of August. So you have 3 months before it reaches the General Appropriations Bill. Then it goes to the Senate, by which time all these questionable transactions will be now part of a committee hearing by the Appropriations Committee and the Finance. So how do you now move around those, realities, the real politic? I mean, when the members of Congress started clapping, I saw some, oh my God, he is clapping, but he has a huge insertion. Diba? So kung ikaw yung taong bayan na nakikinig ka, oh, bakit sila pumapalakpak?
Actually, I was wondering
When?
about that because when he said, Mahiya naman kayo, and then nasa likod niya yung dalawang key
Dalawa,
proponents
diba?
of the 2025.
With the huge insertion.
I was thinking, di ba awkward to? But
That's
anyway,
true, and it's a standing ovation.
Yeah. The most, I think, it was a standing ovation.
But then how much credibility do you think this whole audit will have? The President gave instructions for the Department of Public Works to submit all of the flood control projects, and then the past 3 years.
Past 3 years.
So that's
From
from
the
the type of start of his administration.
Yeah.
Is he admitting na nagkaroon ng mga... Well, he did mention ghost projects
That's
during
true.
his SONA as well.
Yes.
But is he admitting that there were ghost projects or substandard projects na nakalusot under his
Lumalabas.
term?
Kasi he's even including kontratista eh.
Exactly.
They will be included. And I go back, how many contractor legislators do we have?
And why just now?
Why now? Yeah. Apparently last year, he heralded the 5,600 or
Yeah.
2,600.
Yes,
flood control
there was
projects, right.
praise for the flood control
And then
projects last
Divine
year.
Providence proved to him that's not true. And until today, that's not true. So when you have a Senator Lacson saying 1 trillion have been lost for how many, and some people saying hundreds of billions, you really have to look into it.
We'll have more of that discussion later, but we'll pause for a short break and keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. Iginagalang ng Kamara ang desisyon ng Korte Suprema na ideklarang unconstitutional ang impeachment articles laban kay VP Sara, pero kasabay nito, hindi rin daw nila susukuan ng kaso. Narito ang report ni Joan Manalo.
And let me say this with the utmost respect. The Supreme Court has spoken and we recognize its decision. But let it never be said that the House of the people bowed in silence.
Ito ang pahayag ni House Speaker Martin Romualdez sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema na ideklarang unconstitutional ang articles of impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Sa pagbubukas daw ng panibagong yugto sa Kamara, sabay-sabay raw nilang haharapin at pagninilayan ang kanilang constitutional duty.
At the time, we draw a line. The power to initiate impeachment is the exclusive domain of this chamber. It flows from the people's will and rests solely on the clear language of the Constitution. It is neither granted nor guided by any outside institution.
Dagdag ng Speaker,
The court may close a case, but it cannot close a cause. The pursuit of accountability is not a moment. It is our mandate.
nauna nang inanunsyo ni Romualdez at ni House Spokesperson Attorney Princess Abante na maghahain ng motion for reconsideration ng Kamara dahil nakaangkla raw sa maling findings at salungat na records ang desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Sa panig naman ni Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Jokno, dalawa raw ang kapangyarihang kailangang balansehin sa usaping ito. Ang kapangyarihan ng Korte Suprema to check grave abuse of discretion at ang kapangyarihan ng Senate Impeachment Court na magdesisyon sa impeachment cases once convened. Kaya sana raw ay mapakinggan ng Korte Suprema ang ihahaing motion for reconsideration ng Kamara. Para naman kay 4-piece Party List Representative Marcelino Libanan, masyado raw nag-focus sa procedure ang Korte Suprema sa kanilang naging desisyon.
Ang nakikita ko po sa decision ng Supreme Court ay parang deferred lang po ang ginawa nilang desisyon. Hindi sila nagpunta sa merito ng kaso, pero more on procedure. So kung titingnan po natin ay na-defer lang tayo ng mga 6 months dahil kung gusto ng majority patuloy, ng Congressional patuloy, nandiyan pa rin yung window na yan dahil ang initiation is 1 year ang reglementary period.
Nirerespeto pa rin daw niya ang naging desisyon ng SC. Pero wala rin naman daw mawawala kung magsusumite ng motion for reconsideration ang Kamara. Isa sa mga miyembro ng House Prosecution Panel si Libana noong 19th Congress. Para sa Agenda, Joan Manalo, Billionario News Channel.
Okay, Malou, we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to pick your brain on two key points. One is on the issue of water concessions. It was mentioned by President Bongbong Marcos as well on holding concessions accountable. Pero dun sa punto na yon, nagpan yung camera ng RTVM kay Senator Camille Villar.
Yeah.
So, palagi mo ba is this like a symbol in his SONA, even if he did
It's
not name names?
malicious. It's really malicious, Karen, because you can find it wherever. Why pick on a new senator who is associated? I mean, they didn't
are with Prime
name
Water.
names,
Oo.
right?
Yes, yeah.
But still, the insinuation is there.
Okay, but it was part of his original speech, right? Because we saw
Yes,
the
it is.
original speech. Ang hindi kasama is yung yung pag-refer niya kay Torre
Yeah, that's
and
right.
yung dun sa flood control.
That's right.
Yung Mahiya naman kayo. But lastly, with everything happening yung sa body language, lahat kami nila, George, napansin namin na mas visible ngayon si Sandro Marcos.
Yes.
Up until lumabas si Presidente.
Because he's now majority floor.
Yeah, and did he break a record? Is he the youngest majority
Yes,
floor
yes.
leader
And
in history?
I think he's the first coming from a one term.
Na
Yeah, it's
biglang
second term eh, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero, syempre, talking about Sandro Marcos, sa tingin mo ba, syempre, budget insertions among others, ano? And the president saying na hindi ko pipirmahan yung GAA kung hindi yan naka-align sa
And he
NEP.
won't be reluctant to
have a
reenact
reenacted,
the
yeah.
budget pagka hindi daw
That's the marching
katugma
orders to the
ng-
majority floor.
Yeah, pag
Correct.
hindi daw katugma ng National Expenditures
That's
Program
true.
yung GAA, which is what happened in the 2025 budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, may
So,
impact ba yan kay
Yeah.
Speaker Romualdez at saka kay Senate President Escudero?
Yes. Because right now they cannot do any, insertions. That's one. BICAM will have to be very open. And third is it has to, essentially, you have to follow my priorities. That's what he's saying. Follow my NEP, you follow my priorities, we're not enemies.
Yeah. And meron na ba kayo alam ko sinong Committee on Appropriations,
There's
Chairman?
talk of having someone from Nueva Ecija, I think.
Okay. But
Female.
Malou, given everything, all the issues, and kind of like the unspoken words today
yeah.
na nakikita sa body language, do you think that matatapos yung term for the Senate President and Speaker of the House, given all the issues, particularly the budget?
So,
Kasi
magtatagal
papasok na
ba?
tayo.
I think
magtatagal ba
both
sila?
are on tenuous hold. The Senate President because of the impeachment court, and the Speaker because of, parang sinabihan na rein in your blip, your grid actually, rein in your grid. So my sense is this is just a holdover thing.
May pagkakataon ba or possibility na si Sandro ang ginugroom nila to be
Yeah,
Speaker?
next Speaker.
I see him to be
really?
the next Speaker.
Wow, so young.
Interesting.
So Malula, final words, ano yung biggest takeaway mo from this fourth SONA?
Well, the public has to continue being engaged. The President promised something that we want, which is accountability and transparency, especially on the flood control and the budget. Those are two challenges that would be very, very hard for him not to fulfill, considering it's very near the end of his term.